You should see on top.
I do. Great.
And if you click on the view on YouTube, it will take you to the link. And I'm gonna send to Travis.
Oh, cool.
We sent to Leah.
You're about to view broadcast on YouTube. Cool. That's great. For those that are watching this after the fact, this is our first live stream. This is awesome, and we're excited to go through this. So yeah, people are probably going to jump in and see some of that. I'm not going to have it open, but I think we'll be able to feed in comments into this. And so I'll keep an eye on the comments, Elisha, and see what people are saying, and we can kind of go from there.
Yep.
So since for those that are joining on the live stream, if they rewind, it's going to cut it off halfway through. But we're actually looking at the MyHeritage app, and the AI technology that they just released recently has had a lot of hype in the news in the last week. So what I'm sharing on the screen, Elisha, this is Grandma O'Fallon. This is Grandma O'Fallon. This is my wife's grandmother. And this bottom photo down here on the bottom left, this is the photo I received. And this is the photo. It's this little square.
The little picture. So the little picture is the original?
The little picture is the original. You can see it's discolored. There's some stains on it. There's no color to it. And they asked me, hey, like we want to bring some color into it, and we want to see if you can make it look a little bit better. Just clean it up slightly. And so then I went from that to let's see if I can show you this. I'm going to give you just a little bit of just a history of like what it used to take to do this kind of thing, right? So you're seeing that this here on the top, this bigger one is the one they actually framed. And this bigger framed version is, you'll see that it's cleaned up. It's been slightly sharpened. I didn't bring any color to it quite yet, but I basically cleaned it up and it kind of made it a little bit larger. And then that one turned into another photo that I'm going to share with you here. I'm going to put this on the screen of Grandma O'Fallon. So let's see if I can share this. Copy link. And let's put that here. So this is the Instagram.
The big one, you essentially paid someone to like clean it up for you. Is that how it works?
I did. I did it in Photoshop, and it took me like 2 days. And then after that, this was after. So I got it in time for the funeral. And then after the funeral, I was like, man, I really want to spend more time on this. So then if I click play, you'll see that it's the black and white, and then that was the colorized version. And then I did a little video to show what I did. So the before and the after. And it honestly, like looking back, I'm like, it's okay. But I won't lie. This talk probably took me upwards of 20 hours in Photoshop because I really spent a lot of time and I knew how important it was for everybody that was watching it. So this process, to your point, the process of taking an old school photo and cleaning it up, sharpening it, and adding color to it and making sure it's the right coloring is actually really hard if you go little by little. And that's what I did back at the time. And there are apps that, like I would say in the last 2 or 3 years, actually, that have started to come out and say, hey, you can just download an app and we'll bring color into your photos. There's some apps that say, hey, we're going to like clean it up slightly. But MyHeritage has introduced something that's insanely powerful. And I wanted to show you some of that today. Have you ever done this kind of thing before, Elisha?
Actually, never done it. I've seen like apps that would, claim to, do, clean up, like bring the color to the old black and white photo. Yep. But I actually never done it myself because I think even the oldest picture I have, I think they have some colors. Yep. And the physical album, I guess I never, bothered to scan to my computer. But maybe I should try that now that it's kind of interesting.
Wow.
Okay, yeah, maybe I can bring my wife's photo.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So I'm sharing on the screen here that we have some visitors. Travis, hello, welcome to the stream. I'm able to put your comment on the screen. If there's any questions or thoughts, would love to put you on the screen. Anybody else that's watching, and we can maybe answer anything that you might have. So Elisha, I guess the next part to this is, so basically, I want to show you what an output might look like of this kind of thing now. So using the MyHeritage app, let's go ahead and put this on the screen. So I'll take this one off and let me share my screen. So this photo here is my grandmother, Abuelita Lucita, and she's from Mexico, and that's her and her dad. And I think this is on her wedding day. It's a beautiful photo. And I'm going to zoom in because you're going to notice that there's a lot of grain. There's a lot of detail that we're missing throughout this photo. And there's no color. There's absolutely no color. We have no sense for what colors are her dad's hair, what color was her hair, her eye color, like none of that. And I basically input this into the Heritage app. And there's two things I've done so far. The first is I added sharpness. And the second is I've added color. I did this in 2 clicks in less than 2 seconds. And this is what I get out of it. So left is the original and the right is you get color. And look at the amount of detail you're seeing in my grandmother now. So you go from this to like really bringing in quite a lot.
Yeah, like I can see like lines of her, like a gum line. The teeth. I can notice the shape of the teeth, and yeah, that's pretty crazy. I guess they're somehow filling the detail in or something. It's my assumption.
Yeah,
it's
so
almost
I think it's
constructing, a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of the general. That's what it's been doing. So that feature came out about 2 years ago, and that's been pretty powerful and really popular for them. Is just quickly colorizing and sharpening. That alone is already really impressive. But they took it a step further recently. And what they did is they came out with I think they're calling it deep nostalgia technology. And it basically brings them to life. I know, right? So this is the exact video. I was scrolling through TikTok, right? Just flipping. And I came across this video and it kind of blew my mind. And I immediately downloaded the app and played with it. I'm going to share my screen to show you what that was, the video I saw. Let's see if the audio comes through. Tell me if you don't hear it come through. So I just saw this app is called MyHeritage, green screen video, MyHeritage.
And I was like, to play through speaker or something.
Let's try it.
Yeah.
No audio?
Nope. Yeah, it doesn't go through.
Okay, it's fine. It's just piano playing.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is a photo, and it's basically a guy's blinking, and the mom and the grandmother and the grandfather kind of blinking and moving around. It's insane. It looks so realistic.
Yeah.
So it's a little creepy, especially the eyes. But at the same time, when it's personal like that, right? When it's and I'll stop sharing that for a second. So when it becomes see if I can get the delay to stop here. I'm a little bit delayed. When it comes to it being your own grandparent or your own ancestor, it becomes really personal and it becomes, it's deep nostalgia. It's exactly what it is. When you're looking at somebody else's grandparent, you might be like, that's really the way they're blinking or the way that they're, whatever. So at a quick glance, what are your impressions of that?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I think my assumption is somehow it's been studied a lot to detect the human features. Like a lot of our cameras, iPhone and DSLR cameras, can now detect the faces because there has been a lot of like a training model done to like detect the typical human features with like a nose and eyes and mouth. I think where they leaped forward a little bit is perhaps once they detect the features, they're probably erasing or overriding, kind of like doing the Photoshop's context-aware fill. Like remove this as a layer, cut my mouse as a layer off, and then context fill my mouse with the rest of my skin, and then create like a blank state of my face. And then they are sharpening or improving my part. And then they're bringing it probably back onto the canvas. And then probably in some, I don't know if they're doing the ML morphing or if they're using some kind of like I don't know, After Effects like a motion tweening kind of stuff. That's my assumption, where they'll detect the face, delete everything, context fill with my skin, bring the parts back, but enhance and animate it. But that's pretty incredible if you can do it in like one app, right? Not like send it off to someone to do it manually, but
yeah, and it does it within a few seconds. So yeah, so I think it's pretty incredible. I think you're right. I think there is the content aware background situation going on. I think it's really similar to the technology that Facebook uses for their 3D photos. If you've seen that, when you're scrolling or you move your phone around, they add some depth. They see what's in the front, they see what's in the back, and then they fill the back with a content aware type of technology, so that if you are slightly shifting, right, and you're getting that like parallax, depth look, then it ends up filling the background.
Oh. And I think the Zoom and some apps are good at like cutting out our shape and then try to fill this or add the blur and stuff, right?
Yep, exactly. So this is a photo of my grandfather. His name is Abuelito Macario. So his name is Macario. And this is a photo I have of him that my family really, really loves. This was printed on my grandfather's funeral program when he passed away a few years ago. And so, I mean, I have, uncles and aunts that have this photo framed, and they're just like, man, our grandfather was so handsome. He always talked about his tiny little mustache. So a lot of nostalgia just from the photo. His nickname was on the program, Papa Burro. And so I put this in the app, and within a couple seconds, I did a sharpening, I did color, and then I tried the new feature, which is the animation feature. And once you set the animation feature, there are about 7 settings that are available in there. And I'm gonna actually have you walk through this in a little bit. But it was really, really impressive. So this is actually what I got as an output. I'm gonna share the video. So I'm gonna share a video file. And this is the first time I share this in our streaming software here. So I'm going to see if this works. And I think there's no need for audio, but I think it'll have higher quality. So we'll give this a shot. Oh, yeah, let's do a screen share here of an application window. Boom. Okay. So here's that same photo of my grandpa. So the one you saw before has now been sharpened and colorized. And it's crazy because this is actually his eye color, like a little bit more hazel. His skin color is very accurate. His hair color is very accurate. And so like that alone is already really impressive. But then you add the animation. So I'll play it. And you can see him kind of smiling, kind of looking around, blinking. Again, a little creepy probably for you, but for me, I shared this with my dad. I shared this with my aunt, some family members. And a bunch of them started crying, and they were just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, this is the most, like, do this to all of our photos. Like, they loved it. And of course, the app lets you do all the colorizing and all the sharpening. It lets you do maybe 20 of them before it pops open the pay. You got to pay for it. For the animation, it lets you do 2. And then after 2, it's gone.
So I got to pick the right one to test.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, that's I think the detail they put in terms of like not just like moving eyes, but also like blinking eyes.
Yeah.
And creating that like a little detail. It's almost like just by adding that little detail, you almost make it like more magical than if you just like maybe twined with the, I don't know, maybe you add the perspective to the eyes, right? Like as you're shifting the face or something. If it was just that, then it feels like, oh yeah, of course they're just tweening. But I think the little detail they add to make it like a human-like. And I noticed the light, what do you call that?
The shimmer in the eye.
Yeah, shimmer in the eye, yeah. That's like, I noticed that that's also moving. It's not staying in one spot relative to the eye. And I think those are the little details. Like it's almost like the light source is constant, and then he's just moving eyes, but the light source looks constant. If you just look at it, like as he moves his light to the side, the light also like try to stay where it used to be, and then when it comes back to center, it looks
Wow.
like it's back in the center, right? I feel like
I didn't
that's
even
that
notice
kind of
that. That's a
detail.
small detail. Holy
Yeah,
moly, you're
that's a
right.
small detail like that we don't maybe think about it usually, but we would notice it's some fake if it doesn't like align to our intuition of what's supposed to change. And
Hmm.
maybe we don't really think about that, right? But because
Yep.
they did it, it looks like crazy magic.
Yeah, it's like they got the light source correct. It's in the front. It's putting a shimmer in the eye, and if you look to the left or
Yeah.
to the right, the light source stays in the same place. You know what
Yeah.
does it for me though, Elisha, is if you look at his lips. I know it feels weird right now with that little tiny mustache, but if you
Uh-huh.
look at it, is when he looks back at the camera and then he smiles. That little subtle smile for me is like where it was like, oh my gosh, it feels so real, And they
Yeah.
added such subtle animations and got the muscles right on how the smile and the cheek and the chin bone or the chin and the cheekbones are all kind of positioning to things. It's just crazy. It looks
Something
amazing.
else I just noticed is the shadow behind his ears
Whoa.
changes based on the
No way.
orientation of his face. So yeah, it's not just that they're
Whoa, they
filling the
covered it when he faces
canvas.
back.
Yeah, they notice like, okay, this is a shadow area that needs to rotate. It's almost like
Whoa.
a creator just gave you some like JPEG or PNG on the After Effect, and then After Effect just magically figures out, oh yeah, this is a 3D rendered object, and so of course if you put the light source, it's gonna follow that shadow
Yeah.
automatically. But just by throwing the image at it, you don't have to do any setup yourself. It's kind of crazy.
Oh man, that is super crazy. So that's the MyHeritage app technology. I've actually done it with quite a few of the photos I've worked with. I've only done 2 animations for video, and my wife has done it, and she's already been blown away seeing photos of her grandmother. So I asked you, not knowing exactly what we were going to be covering, but I told you to have a photo ready. Were you able to find an older photo of maybe a family member or of yourself or something like that?
So I have oh, there you go. My wife found an image of that's a grandma, huh?
Wow.
Okay. If there's 2 people in the photo, can you pick
Oh, that's
which
even
one?
better. Yes, I want to show you how that works. So
Okay.
it's going to why don't we share your screen and we can have you actually show the process of downloading the app, what it's going to ask for, and then how you can get it input your photo and then get it to get sharpened, colorized, and animated. And we'll probably do that in a period of about 5 minutes. So stay with us for everyone that's with us. Going to be really, really cool to walk through that. Elisha, am I able to share your screen here? Perfect.
Yes. So this is the photo that my wife just sent me.
Wow, beautiful.
It's pretty
This
decent
looks
quality
pretty
already.
photoshopped already, like very like high quality.
Yeah.
I'm
Interesting.
excited
So
to
this
try
is a
this though.
grandma. That's a grandpa? Well, he looks like
Wow,
pretty. Oh, okay.
that's great.
Oh yeah, they definitely Photoshop.
This is photoshopped.
The
Let's
feet
do this
doesn't
one.
have the proper shadow.
This will work though. This will work. So let's get you over to the App Store and let's go to the MyHeritage app. One thing you're gonna find, Elisha, is the first time you try to sign up, it's not gonna work for you because there are millions of people, from my understanding, because of TikTok and everyone's sharing this and everybody's sharing this with their friends. So many people are downloading it. So you're going to download that orange MyHeritage app. They do DNA testing. They do family history. I personally do my family history. I have quite a lot of family history actually in an app called Family Search. So that's where I have mine. But MyHeritage has a lot of the same databases, and I just happen to have it somewhere else. But I downloaded it just exclusively for this particular feature. And I'll be honest with you, Elisha, after the trial of a few photos and 2 animations, they charge you $200 a year and you get access to unlimited photos and animations. My wife was so impressed with the first video that she did with her grandmother. she told me, I think we should pay $200 so that we can do this to all of our photos. And she was so impressed by it that she committed to a $200 of a yearly fee so that we can do this for all of our photos for our relatives. And I mean, if you think about it, for the nostalgia and the value it adds for our family, actually not that crazy. So if you try these, it probably is going to tell you it's busy. It did for me. It did for my wife. You just keep trying some options here.
So, let me just hide.
Go ahead and do your own.
Sign up. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it. And what I'll do is I'll talk about a few things on this. So because of TikTok, because of everyone that was on TikTok doing this, when you click on like connecting through Apple, through Gmail, it'll be like, oh, sorry. Oh, there's an error. Oh, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. But once you get in, which I think now you're in, Elisha, just put in some dummy content for now. That's what I did. If you're actually interested in family history, I strongly recommend you put in real information there. My wife did, and it actually pulled out tons of information about her ancestors right away. Like she put in her dad's name, her mom's name, her grandfather on her dad's side, you know, like parents, so grandparents on dad's side, grandparents on mother's side. So it's going to ask you for a total of 6 names. So I think you're going through that process right now. Just type in whatever you want for now and skip that. And then we'll jump right into the photos.
I might have to, let me just pull my notes of my family.
Sure.
So I'm entering the right information.
I was going to say, do you want to actually enter real information or do you want to do a temporary one?
I'm going to do the real one.
Perfect. So I'm going to share my screen while you're doing that. When you get to a good point, let me know. And I'm going to do a little bit of a sharing of my screen. So there you guys go. So this is this is me showing my family how I did it. I'm not going to click play on this, but basically you download the app. And then it'll tell you here. So once you've passed the information that Elisha's entering, right? Your parents, your grandparents, it tells you, okay, do you want to see your family tree or do you want to go to photos? So I went right to photos. So this is me filling out my information. And then I went to photos. So these are the real photos that I put into my app. I'm not scared of showing this. I just think it's amazing. So I put in a bunch of photos. You click on add photos and then you select any camera photos you have on your phone. So I went to my Google Photos, where we store all of ours. And I quickly looked for my grandparents, found some photos, saved it to my library, and then I imported them. So this is an example of one of those photos of my grandfather and grandmother. So if I zoom in here, you'll see that this is what Elisha's question was. How does it handle 2 people? So you'll see that on the bottom, it recognizes that it has my grandfather, my grandmother, Abuelito Macario, Abuelita Lucita, and there they are. And it automatically lets you see that they captured 2 photos. So it does a photo recognition. And then if I swipe, you can see the amount of quality that comes out of this thing is insane. Oh, there we go. Going full screen. So you can see that the quality gets really, really good. And then if I click on my grandmother's photo, then it lets me kind of, you can see the before and after. And if I see my grandfather's, it does it before and after. So again, just incredible the amount of detail. That's the before of my grandfather. This is the after. And so basically I did this video because I wanted my family to get a sense for how it actually works. But see, by the time I got to it, I was already out of my free credits of how it works. So this is colorizing. Didn't do a good job there. Let's see. Let me forward this a little bit. This is my grandmother as well. I'm going to show you before and after. This is my grandmother before. This is my grandmother after the sharpening and colorization. So pretty crazy what it's doing there, that technology. But I think what we're talking about today, for those that are joining, anybody that's kind of joining us in the chat here, if you have any questions about this, please let us know. We'll put you on the stream here. We might be able to answer some questions. Elisha's currently entering real information about his parents and about his grandparents on both sides. And he's going to be inputting a photo, and he's going to play with that photo to share to see how it actually works. This is a photo, for those that didn't see it earlier, this is the photo I shared. This is my grandmother, and this is it colorized and sharpened. So if I zoom in, you can see the amount of detail that it brings in that did not exist. So it's not that it's just sharpening the photo, it's bringing in characteristics that were not apparent and visible in the stream. I really like one of these comments here. I'm going to put it on the screen. Just as good as a deep fake. I completely agree. It's like when we get to the animation, it's like it gets pretty crazy what that does. But look at that before and after. Elisha, how far are you in the process?
I got just 2 people, so that's probably good enough.
I think it's going to prompt for more. What I would suggest is put dummy content on your past your 2 people. Are you past it now?
Yeah, I just entered my mom and
perfect. And now you're good. So if you don't mind sharing your screen, I'll show you where to go now.
Yep.
You go to the menu and then we'll go from there. There we go. All right, so we're seeing a real live view of Elisha doing this for the very first time. Click on photos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you're gonna hit the plus and then go and find that photo that we looked at earlier and add photo. And this doesn't actually have to be your family member for now. I mean, just for the sake of what we're doing, do a upload that photo.
Oh, does it have to be my photo?
I mean, yeah, you want to bring in that photo. No, it doesn't have to be your photo. Go ahead and upload it. So he's picking one photo here, and I'm really excited to try this thing here. So it's going to upload it into their system, and now you can actually do some colorization or sharpening. So go ahead and click on the photo. So anybody can do this and download this up front. So at the very top, the one on the very far top left, don't click that one yet, but that's the animation. Let's click the second one, which is sharpening, where it looks like a magic wand.
Okay.
So it's going to do its magic wand. I like the animations on this. Nice work, dev team. Okay, and then click on the faces. So click on the grandfather and the grandmother. Let's see how it did. This is already pretty photoshopped, but let's do a swipe. Wow. That's crazy. Even that is pretty incredible. So now click on the grandfather. And this one didn't do too much, but man, it brought some pretty good stuff there. Okay, now if you click exit, it keeps the sharpening.
The left top?
Yeah, sorry, the top left, like X. And now basically it keeps whatever you did. So now the sharpening is done. Go ahead and click the color wheel, and that will bring some color. And I'm really excited to see what this does. So it's basically analyzing here. I don't know if it's going to even bring color to the curtains. That would be pretty amazing.
I'm kind of curious if they embedded the system or now into the app itself, or if it's actually sending it to the back end.
Ooh, see, you would know more than I would on this. Oh, so it did okay on the veil on her hair. Let's go ahead and zoom in. Maybe pinch to zoom on their faces.
Don't think it's pinching.
Oh, really? Okay, so maybe it doesn't do the pinch and zoom here.
Looks like it's only doing the slide. Yeah. So now and back, or how does it save the state?
I think it keeps the state as is. I don't think you can undo the state, or I think you might have to go back to colorize or do something. I think this will work for what we're needing it to do. So yeah, it shows you that both of those effects have been applied. Oh, there we go.
Oh, I didn't even notice that like a reddish color.
Oh wow, they brought that in. Whoa, like from the flowers.
Is this a lily or what is the flower?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Interesting.
That's amazing.
Maybe let me add the audience from the family.
Great.
Yeah, let me share the link. The family chat. Is that the best one?
Oh, sure. Yeah, family group chat, the latest one.
Are you going to share it with them?
Yeah, I'm sharing the YouTube link to the family channel.
So they can see what we're doing. Channel. Perfect. And I think they'll be able to actually watch us bring this thing to life. So I want you to animate it in just a second. I guess once you share it.
Yeah, let's see how many people are joining, because I can see this total count. I think numbers should increase, right?
Yep. We see the top left.
Once they jump on. Do you give it a title?
I didn't. But so what I would do, Elisha, is go ahead and cancel. I mean, you can do this now. Yeah, go ahead and do however you want to do it. But I was going to say, if you click the top right, the share icon. And then click enhanced and colorized. This will allow you to like save it to your camera roll, and you can share it like message or however you want to share it. There also is, if you click on the
try that then. Yeah.
If you click on the sharpen icon one more time.
The magic wand?
Yeah, the magic wand. They should put names on these, by the way. And then share. Yeah. Do the share icon here. And then do enhanced and colorize, I think here. I think it's going to be a little different. Maybe it's not. Okay, so what this does is, I think it doesn't show you this. This is maybe an improvement for the app, but it actually shows them side by side. It will put the original photo on one side, and then it'll put the colorize and sharpen on the other side. And then you can actually
how does it work?
Zoom in.
But in this case, it's a little bit weird, right? If it cuts off in the middle.
No. So it puts the full photo on the left side and then the full photo on the right side. And so you're able to zoom in. So my family zoomed into the original and then they zoom into the other side. And it was like incredible what it was doing.
Is that the same? If I share on the colorized mode, it would put the colorized side by side?
I believe so. That's a good thing to be testing.
Let me take off the screen just so that I don't expose everyone's name when I share.
Sure.
And then see what happens. Sure. Or I can send it back. What happens?
Yep.
First. Not quite seeing. Okay, let me share it to somewhere else and see what happens.
And then one thing that we're going to do for those that are still joining us, we're going to be actually animating this thing, which is kind of the purpose of this live stream today, is actually go through the process of bringing in the animation. So if you're ready to do that, I'd love to see how that works. So if you click on the top left.
Yep, I did share. Okay, yep. It did. Yeah. Okay, so when I sent it to my Mac, I think it just sent that file or something. But when I just shared, when he shared it as a URL, then he opened up the website.
Oh, cool.
That has pretty much the same control that I see on the mobile.
Oh, good. That might be better then, actually.
Yeah. And I'll share that too. I guess I'll share it then to the family friends.
Cool.
Yeah, this is cool. So far, yeah. So far, this is the part where it's still similar to the previous generation of apps, right? Where it tries out the colors at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the colorization of it is on par with what we've seen. Sometimes does good, sometimes it does okay, sometimes it does a bad job. I had a few that turned out pretty bad. I had a few that turned out really, really well. The sharpening, I think it's pretty high end. I don't know if I've seen any that do that level of high end. I had some really, really, grainy, non-contrasty photos, and it did an incredible job. So I think it's maybe a step up on that. But I think the animation is where we actually want to see the feature, the AI feature that people are calling creepy or amazing or calling nostalgic. And so I think that's the feature I want to, if you're open to it, would love to see what that looks like. And we'd probably need to pick either the grandfather or the grandmother here. We'll get to pick one face and then kind of use that. I don't know if you have there's a preference on which one to show.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Leah, do you want to pick one? Oh, yeah, grandpa. Yeah.
Okay. So then let's go to animation, and you're going to notice that we'll have some more fine-tuned controlling in just a minute here. It'll let us pick between, I think, 7 or 8 animation types for their face. And it picks the best one that it does. It actually does an auto recommendation of which one it recommends the most. Are you waiting for any family members to jump on?
I don't think they are getting. I mean, I think one of them saw the notification, but maybe they're not exactly tuning in right now. But
yeah, they could probably watch it after the fact. So,
yeah,
cool. So let's do it.
So what button do I press for that one?
So the one that this is probably a good lesson in design here, that these aren't as intuitive as people might think that are developing or designing this. It's the icon to the left of the magic wand. There's a circle with some Looks like a meteor. The meteor icon. Who would have thought
like animation?
Okay, so now you get to select one face. So let's select the grandpa.
Yeah, it looks like a meteor. Oh, I guess they're flying it like a meteor.
All right, here we go. We are animating your photo. This may take a few seconds. So I'm assuming, Elisha, right now it's sending it to some backend, analyzing it, adding it all the stuff.
What's going on, yeah.
And then capturing it, bring it back. And you'll see there's a drop down that says animation number 1. There you go. Oh my goodness.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Does it even look like how the grandpa look like? I guess we don't know. Wait, so that was animation 1. And then
I have to compare it to other photos.
yeah, I guess Leah wouldn't know exactly if it looks like, right? Wow, why does he look cool?
Why does he look cool? Why does he look so cool?
He's like, I don't care about the camera. I'm just looking inside.
I have more important things to do.
Okay. I can see. Oh, I think it crashed. What was the name of the app again?
MyHeritage.
I think it crashed. Oh, wait.
I think you might have just swiped.
Yeah, I could see this part sending it to the back end. Maybe the first couple parts, it's probably not too difficult to do it on the iOS. But this part, I don't know. This could be done on device too.
I wonder what it's doing there. This one's taking a lot longer than you would expect, probably, right?
Yeah.
This was also where it crashed or you swiped away or something, so it may not have processed the request.
Yeah. I wonder if I press done, I can get back to the state or something. Yeah, to be fair, these things are difficult. Like to know the timing, like sending to the ML analysis model, it's not like file uploading. It's like it's done when it's done. And if there are a lot of users, it's going to be like a queued up in the system. So it's really hard to tell users like when it's even going to be done, but it's pretty fast for what it's doing, and users can wait for this kind of service. And I think $200 is probably pretty reasonable, imagining how many photos otherwise users would send.
Yeah, especially if you're kind of like representing your entire extended family, you might be like, okay, hey, let's pitch in 1-year cost, and let's just do this for all of our photos. Yeah. Save them into our iCloud or our Google Photos, and let's just work with this.
Yeah, just doing it once sounds like a good idea. For $200, that's like it's probably cheaper than sending it to someone else to do it. Like on Fiverr, right? Like it's probably way cheaper than Fiverr.
Yeah. I wonder if there's people on Fiverr saying, hey, let me colorize your photos and let me animate it for you. And they're actually just popping it into this app, paying the one-time $200 fee, and then just charging people $5. Hey, there's your next business idea, viewer. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. I don't like people that do that.
I guess it says MyHeritage at the bottom, so maybe there's some copyright.
You can crop it. I do that with my photo. When I shared this with my family, I just saved it as a video and as a photo, and then I cropped up slightly just to cut off the MyHeritage logo. Although I did tell them like, hey, check this out. Pretty awesome. So this is the MyHeritage AI. I think Elisha, you having actually for those that are viewing after the fact, for those that don't know Elisha and haven't followed him, aren't following him at Elisha Terada on Twitter, he's got a pretty robust background with working with ML and cloud-based AI and non-cloud-based AI. And so, Elisha, you're probably thinking about this app not just through the lens of like a consumer of like, cool animation, this looks great. You're actually probably considering it from the what would it take to build this thing? What would be the effort? What would be the all of the technology that would have to go into this? If you were tasked with building this, I'm just curious about how you would approach this.
I mean, probably at least a year of dedicated work going into this. iOS application is one thing, but it's definitely more on the ML side.
Yep.
Probably TensorFlow, but it's probably not just that. Because you have to animate it. There's no ML that just animates it for you. So you have to have some animation engine that you probably even have to build it yourself, I assume. I don't think you can just like pop in a library and call it good. I think you have to kind of build this thing from scratch. So not only that you have this ML part that detects a human feature, that part you can kind of make it happen with some of the libraries out there, because human face recognition in itself is kind of commodity, but trying to do things with it, and it's probably easy to still do like, oh, recognize features and like fill it in with the color. I think to that point it's probably easy and has been done, but I think to go beyond and say it's almost like a UX but applied to how well you can recreate the human expression. And the more you care about the experience of it in terms of like how the human features move, it probably not just requires like engineering, but there's also a lot of human aspect of like kind of analyzing what it means to have a human expression. And you probably have to study a lot. These are probably the topics studied a lot in like MIT, like where they analyze facial features and how
data scientists behind all of this, right?
Yeah, and how the features of human like body shape moves, like all these scientific study. So yeah, this is probably like a year worth of work across like many people, smart people from different disciplines.
Yep.
Working together to make this one. And iOS app could be a little bit better because now I'm like stuck with this animation screen.
You might have run out.
Yeah, that part could be better, but
I'm taking it off the I'm taking it off the screen there. But yeah, I think it's really interesting to get that perspective. I think it is a lot of work. So if you think about like if you're a business right now that's thinking about doing something like this, right, where you're having to leverage ML, but make it accessible to a consumer, or make it accessible just at a touch of a finger, on a mobile app. How do you get buy-in on something like that? If this is a year of work, right? You can't prototype a year of work to say, here's what it's going to kind of look like, or hey, we have this. Like, what would you need to do to prototype to get the funding, to A, get the funding, B, get buy-in internally, or C, hire people to actually build this thing out?
Yeah, I think this is one of the kind of thing where maybe it's similar to how maybe Clubhouse may have started. Like it not only takes the confidence in engineering skill set that you or your team may have, but I think you have to have a confidence with your relationship that you have cultivated up to that far with someone who can fund your project. Like the Clubhouse was funded by Anderson Halowitz, and that connection that you build and the trust that you build and the track record that you have in the relationship to showcase that, oh yeah, this person is really smart, they know what they're talking about, looks like they understand how theoretically they can get from A to B to make it happen. It's kind of like they have the deep knowledge at the scientific level, right? To know how you can make it happen, and all it requires is just the funding and the time. And I don't think this is something you can casually start with, like in the garage, and you just decided that you want to do it. And maybe you can get there, but this is probably kind of like a bigger next step project where you need to have a team of people and your mentors and the partners that you can trust to kind of get you to the finish line. Similar to, I would say, how Elon Musk kind of got into the SpaceX, but in the much later stage of his entrepreneurship. Like he started with just like I think it was like just like a directory site back in 1990, and 1990s, and that was just like, you know, CRUD type application, right? But as he, you know, make money and he works on PayPal and the Tesla, like then you can get into the, you know, the space level stuff. It's probably hard to just decide to start to work on the space or space from the garage. And it works because up to the point you kind of build up your track record, relationship, the money that you have that you can invest in. So yeah, I'd say this is probably a huge effort behind the scenes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Or I would say if you are from like MIT or something where, you know, you're part of the student group, lab or something like that, then maybe there's a way to get there.
There you go. SpaceX. Back when they started, Elon Musk with the maracas and the mariachi band and all these people that believed in a vision, right? Starting small, like you said. Yeah, I think it's kind of inspiring to see that one. It's inspiring to see. It's inspiring for me to see the you know, the Amazon photo with Amazon's former CEO. Now I was gonna say, but just seeing the early days. But it's true. It's like sometimes you have to prototype, you have to get the investment, get the internal commitment of things, and kind of go from there. So yeah, that's super interesting. I think that like if I were to be running a company where I needed to get here eventually, this was the dream, this was the vision that we wanted to get to. I think I would be looking at it as, how do I prototype, and how do I prototype to paint a vision? And number two is, how do I prove that the technology exists? And maybe not having to commit to it, but like it would be a very heavy research project. Elisha, you take on that kind of work, don't you? Like actually proof of concepts, diving into some of the research, you know, and actually full-fledged building some of these things out. So you have some more experience doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought it'd be cool to walk through that, the MyHeritage app. I think it's a cool, relevant example from today that has to do with AI out in the world for consumers. And we're seeing it on TikTok. We're seeing it on CNN. We're seeing it on TechCrunch, USA Today, all of that within the last day or two, a lot today. But it's something that's becoming more accessible, more and more accessible to everyone, to the every person.
It's kind of like when the iPhone became so accessible as a camera device, and now everyone can upload to the Instagram, and just making it more, I don't know if democratized is the right word, but maybe becoming more like a reachable, accessible, which is really cool, where how we got to this point in technology.
Yeah. I agree. Cool.
I wonder,
well, I thought.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna add, no, on the, I guess, the darker side of the technology, right? How this could be used to bring the person who may have passed away, and maybe it could be controversial to bring some type of people. And
culturally,
that's
right?
interesting. Yeah, culture, yeah. And culturally, and probably in the history, if the person is denoted as someone, you know, who has done something, you know, bad, that how we consider today, like, oh, they didn't do the right thing at their time when they were alive. And right now it's more about like uplifting, like, oh, my family heritage. And that's why they probably scoped it to this heritage, because you would always talk more positive about your family heritage, hopefully, even if you maybe hated some people, at least it's still their family, right? But I think if it was released as more like a generative AI, I can see it being used in bad way and maybe bring more negative light to the technology. But I like it when how they scoped it to the family heritage, because it's going to be positive usage.
I think it's important to be thinking about that, because it's true. It's like, and I'm actually trying to see if I can search this, but I wonder if MyHeritage actually did an acquisition of a company that had this technology, but was not getting the right traction, right? And it's like, well, shoot, what would be the right type of application or scenario where people would actually appreciate it and leverage it, and it would get the right visibility that it needs, right? And I don't know if it did or didn't. But, we're talking about deepfake technology right here, basically. So it's not just sharpening and colorizing, which it is happening. This is deepfake technology, right? Theoretically, you could write something and your grandfather could say it. I think another step that you could take this, Elisha, we're seeing this in applications like Descript, which is a podcasting, video editing app we've been looking at. But essentially, they have technology there where you can add words, you can add phrases, and all you do is you train it. You give it, a baseline of audio, and when there's enough baseline of that audio, then you can have somebody say whatever you want. You add this technology, the deepfake technology for MyHeritage. You add the voice imprinting and models that are being leveraged in Descript. I think it's called LibriVox or something. I might be wrong on the name there, but I'm gonna look it up now. But it's if you combine those two things, essentially you get to a state where it can get to the creepy state where you're giving Hitler a voice, or you're making President Obama say something he didn't say, that kind of thing. So it's called Lyrebird, Lyrebird, Lyrebird. That's what brings in the voice. So it's like, I think it is important that you put the right context to your point.
Yeah. I think just the heritage context is kind of nicely done. And of course, you can still use it, upload whatever photo you want, right? Technically. But it's still nice to frame in that so that it doesn't come out as like yet another creepy tech by, engineers from this company or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's important to be thinking that. And I think that's why Descript, I think they did a good job of doing it through there, right? Through the lens of podcasting, where you might say a stat or you might say a word where you mess up. And so you want to correct it. You're like, there were 5 people that did this. And then later you're like, shoot, I researched it and it was actually 8, right? And so this kind of technology changes the word 5 to 8 and it fixes it. It's a really subtle thing, but through the context of Descript, it's not creepy. It's actually really helpful and valuable, and it works for podcasting. It works to fix audio really, really well. You put that in the wrong hands, obviously that's where it gets a little creepier. So pretty amazing future with AI and ML. It's applicable to every industry, really. I had somebody challenge me on that recently. Tell me how that applies to blank industry. I don't think that actually applies. I'm like, oh man, let me tell you. And I came out with like 10 things just off the top of my head. And I really do think in any industry, there's a lot of value in getting into these low level and high level type of AI, like, artificial intelligence, machine learning. And I'm excited to jump into some more topics in the future, Elisha, as it relates to this topic. I definitely want to cover GPT-3 and some of the hype around that, some of the prototypes people have worked on, and some of the future that's coming with open. Are there other forms of AI and ML that you're excited to cover in the future?
I think there are a lot of innovation happening in the NLP for sure. I think in terms of like art stuff, I think the generative AI stuff has, I guess, kind of passed its hype. But I think it kind of brought it back in to this, context where it's not like a randomly generated art. It's like irrelevant to what you care about with the people you care for. So now it kind of brought back similar concept, but kind of revived that a little bit. And I already mentioned NLP. I think the sound is interesting. I'm using Crisp to reduce the noise, but I don't think there has been, and I guess the Descript kind of constructing your voice, but I feel like those are still the technology that people don't really know that it exists yet. I don't think many people know about Crisp or the Descript technology. It hasn't been like, oh wow, look at it on my phone kind of commodity. I think these technologies, like only when it gets to their hand that they can see it. that they recognize that, you know, the technology is there, even though it's been around a long time, right? And all you have to find is like a perspective or angle that catches people's attention before it becomes like next hype. So the audio space is probably interesting one to watch out for.
Yeah, I think it's ripe for innovation. It's ripe for disruption. So yeah, I'm excited to keep an eye on that to see how that kind of evolves. So cool. Yeah, I appreciate the time today. I think this was our first live stream together. I think we're hitting just about an hour. I think it was a really good starting topic to cover. I'd love to cover this topic a little bit deeper and see what other kinds of trends and things are coming from this. We'll probably post that up on superleap.club. That's where we have our website. You can also follow Elisha at Elisha Terada on Twitter, or at Try Johnny for me on Twitter as well. And we'll be covering some new topics soon.
Yep. And next time we'll stream from the official channel.
Yep.
That you can subscribe to.
Sounds good. Hey, appreciate the time. That was fun.
Yep. Yeah, that was fun.
All right. Take care. Bye.